Hello, my name is Mason Young, and I'm the president of the Lebanon Branch Preservation Trust. And here today we're in downtown Lebanon, Kentucky, as we're prepping the Louisville and Nashville Railroad Watchman House for transport. The nonprofit Lebanon Branch Preservation Trust was founded with the mission to preserve the history of the Lebanon branch of the L&N Railroad and nearby rail lines for the purpose of educating the public about their heritage, supporting local tourism, and providing goodwill to the Central Kentucky region. Today, only two short segments of the Lebanon branch of the L&N Railroad survive, with the majority of the line between New Hope, Kentucky and Mount Vernon, Kentucky having been abandoned and removed as a result of industry-wide consolidation and cost-cutting measures that were taken in the mid to late 1980s by the railroad industry. Sadly, the only remainder of the nearly century and a half of public service the L&N Railroad gave to the community here in Marion County is the occasional earthen embankment that can be seen passing through the landscape. Fortunately, a few pieces of equipment that operated in Marion County do survive to today, with one being former L&N caboose number 156, of which was brought back home to the Lebanon Branch from Alabama by Lebanon Branch Preservation Trust members. Caboose 156 is currently undergoing restoration to return it to service on the rails it once traveled. But surprisingly, there was one piece of railroad history remaining here in Lebanon that had survived for a century, and it had been hiding in plain sight the entire time, unknown to most. When I first heard about a railroad ticket booth available from Lebanon, I assumed it was probably the ticket window from inside the Lebanon station or something similar. However, I was told that's not what it was, and that it was instead a shed-like structure sitting in a backyard. I was given the address it was located at and drove by to see what we were dealing with. As I approached the location, I immediately recognized it as something I had seen before. What I was looking at was a tall white structure the size of a guard shack that I had seen in town roughly 10 years prior, thinking what an interesting looking Victorian style garden shed, not knowing it was actually a railroad relic. Thanks to Kentucky Railway Museum, we were able to identify the structure as an L&N Railroad Watchman's House from a copy of L&N's blueprints of standard buildings in their archive. Before the advent of flashing lights and gate arms at railroad crossings, busy crossings in cities were protected by watchmen. These watchmen would sit inside one of these small structures protected from the cold and the weather and would be alert of approaching trains. They would then either lower a manual gate arm or step out and hold up a stop sign to halt cars and pedestrians until the train safely passed. Unfortunately, we do not know what crossing in Lebanon or Marion County this watchman's house originally stood guard at, but we speculate it was likely at either Walnut Street, Depot Street, Proctor Knott Avenue, or Spalding Avenue. What we do know is that sometime around the 1940s, the watchman's house was acquired from the L&N Railroad for use as a backyard shed and moved to the backyard on the corner of Walnut and Depot Streets, where it has remained hidden in plain sight ever since. Following the donation of the Watchman's House, Lebanon Branch Preservation Trust members worked to stabilize the delicate century-old structure by building a wooden 4x4 frame around it. Following the completion of stabilization, the structure was tipped over onto a trailer and was transported to its new location. We are only aware of two surviving L&N Watchman's houses, one in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Historic Rail Park and Museum, and this one. We greatly appreciate that the Preservation Society of Marion County considered Lebanon Branch Preservation Trust trustworthy of preserving this historic structure and recommended that it be donated to us when it was offered to them by the owner. We are also very appreciative of the owner who felt it was something that needed to be preserved and was generous enough to donate it for preservation. We also have to thank our partner, Kentucky Railway Museum, for allowing this historic Watchman's House to be temporarily placed on display at their New Haven Museum site, as Lebanon Branch Preservation Trust does not yet have a suitable location in Marion County for it to be displayed. In the future, as we progress in our organization's mission, the Watchman's House will eventually be returned home to Lebanon for display, potentially near the location it once protected the citizens of Marion County.